Hey, let's continue in Access, but I thought I'd show you real quick an example of something that is very relevant, and that's a database. I'm sure you've seen all of these. This is sadly our state of affairs that's tracking the outbreaks across the US. Today is March 18th in my world, so I'm sure sadly it's a little higher by now. But this, when I hover over Virginia, at this point we have confirmed cases 67. This is tied into a database that lists where these 67 were, and so forth. Sadly, look at New York. Oh my goodness, 2,480 today. And just 2 days ago, that was 1,000. So really growing a lot. Let's hop back into our database that we were working on in the last video. And what we're seeing here is we've now opened up our owners table. We could do so by double clicking. And I do want to mention to you before we go any further, you never have to save a database. You don't have to go to File, Save As, because if you do, it makes duplicates of that. Because we saved at the beginning of our database, we don't have to worry about it saving each time. So don't go to save. All you have to do when you're done each time is just close up your database, come back here next time, open Access, and when you open Access the next time, you'll see your database still where you left off. We'll enable the content, open up owners, and continue on. So do not go to File, Save As. It is going to save automatically for you. What I want to do next is in our textbook, I want to show you that we're now going to put in some people, our owners, in to the owners table. So we're going to add some data. So if you notice, here's those same pieces of information, but now we're going to put in Ted and Stephen. Let me just show you how here. Notice the first owner ID is O-1, and by the way, this is O-2. So we're going to put in O, that's by the way a capital O, not a zero, -1. And I got a little spelling mistake here. Let me rename that real quick. Teach me to go faster in the video. And we're going to put in our name here of Ted Sabas. So the first name is Ted. Here we go with Sabas. And the easiest way to do this, just hit the tab key going across. And important to know, we have to have everything about the first owner before we put in the second owner. I'm going to stop this real quick and put the two owners in and pick back up here in a moment. So I finished typing in the two records into the owners database. And now I'm going to kind of do what we learned in Excel. I'm going to lay my mouse between the two and double click to do what we call the best fit or auto fit. So this way we can see everything hiding in here. And that, if you're still catching up with me, will help you type it in a little bit. So once again, laying my mouse between the two fields, double clicking, and that extends everything out so you can see the whole thing. Okay, now after I have now completed this, I'm going to close this table and now create a second one. It says, do I want to save it? I'm going to say yes. To create a second one, I'm going to go to the Create tab, click Table, and it should look pretty similar to how we got started in the first place. And let's go back to the book, and we're now going to create a second table. This is going to be for the patients. So in other words, the doggies and the cats and great things like that. And you can see we're going to do a total of 5 different fields and the 5 data types, all short text so far. And we're going to do a little bit different though this time. Instead of typing it here, kind of like we did before, I'm going to go instantly up to the View tab. Remember, right now we're on the Data Sheet view. I'm going to go into the Design view, and immediately it's saying, hey, what do you want to call this? I'm going to call this the patients. Our patients, once again, for the vet is the dogs and the cats. Hit OK. And I'm actually going to set it up back here. It doesn't really matter where you set this up. So in other words, I'm going to type in patient ID right here. I'm going to then set it as a short text. And I am going to need to put in the field size and so forth as we go here. And voila, I've typed in the 5 field names, made them all short text, left them all with a field size of 255 down here. Let remind you once again, the very first field in this one, patient ID, is going to truly be my primary key. Do you see it did that automatically? What does that mean again? That is the one that is always going to have a unique value. So now I'm ready to actually put in the names of the dogs and the cats. So let me go back to our book now, and I'm going to show you where those are. So what we want to type in are the names. And here we go in table 132. We're going to put in 3 pets. The names are Paws, Ranger, and Fluffy. We've got a feline, a canine, and a feline. They're just fancy names for cat and dog. And then we have a calico, a Labrador, and a tabby. Let me just show you. Like the name tabby is actually indicative of what kind of cat. So let me just show you what that looks like right here. The tabbies are typically this gray and white or orange and white. And just to remind you, the other one is called a calico. Just in case you didn't know this, interesting information. These are usually those 3 color, I think these are beautiful. Usually kind of a rusty orange, that grayish black, and the white. So that's what we're identifying. So when you come back in a second, I will have those typed in. Let me show you where to type them in. I'm going to hit the bottom half of view, go back into the datasheet view, save it, and I'm going to be typing in, for example, C-1, hitting tab, and I'll come back in a second with them all typed in. So I've typed in my 3 patients, which are the 3 pets. And let's close that up by clicking here and saying yes to save it. And I want to take you back to where you initially downloaded your starter file in SAM Cengage MindTap. Did you notice over here there were also support files? So if you haven't done it yet, go ahead and click right here and allow that to save. What you're doing right now is instead of typing all the other items in, we're going to download 3 tables that are already in a database. One is called the appointments. You can see all of our appointments, similar owners. If you're wondering how one owner can have 4 appointments, they have several animals. We have our listing of treatments, so we'll type that in. And we have 2 veterinarians working for us, William and Teresa. So when you download this, it should go to the downloads folder. And let me show you how we can import it in to our database. So look at the tabs at the top, and we can identify one of them. The tab is called External Data. And what we're going to do here, it says, hey, do you want to import in or export out? Well, we want to import in. So our new data source is going to be from a file, but ours is going to be from a database. We already downloaded an Access database file. And it could be Excel, by the way. It could be anything, but this case it is Access. And we're going to import a table or some of these other items, but we're going to import a table. But we need to find out where it is. So I'm going to click onto the Browse button and go under Downloads. And hopefully it's right there. It was called Support AC CMF Vets Extra Tables. Let me remind you again, how did I get this? In SAM, this is my support file that I downloaded to use right now. And I hit Open and OK. And it says, hey, do you want all 3 of those tables? I do. So I'm just going to hit Select All. So I get all 3 and hit OK. And it says, hey, do you want to save those steps? You know, no, I don't. I'm not going to ever import these 3 tables in again. So I'll just hit Close. And everyone look over here. In addition to our previously designed owners and patients, we now have appointments without having to type it in. Yay. Treatment cost and veterinarians. So it makes it a lot easier to bring these things in that way if you already have them. Okay, if you guys haven't taken a break, I want you to stretch right now. I have my cup of cocoa, but take a break, flip it back on, and we'll continue. Guys, next, we had just opened our 5 tables. Let me close them back up by clicking the X right here. So think of it, at this point, we have now put in our data. But now we want to look at our data a little bit differently. So let's click on the Create tab. What we're going to do first is create something called a query. And I want you to think about it like this. Do you know that Google and Bing are really just queries? So let me open bing.com here or something like that. And for example, if I'm looking at Lynchburg and this is my results page, what just happened was I queried the word Lynchburg, that was my key term, and these are dug into the Bing or Google database, and all of these are my results. Really, a search engine is just a big database that sends you out some of this information. So let's build our first query in Access. We went to the Create tab. And what we want to do here is notice at the bottom it says query tables, create tables, create queries, create forms, create reports. And what we want to do here real quick is create a quick little query. So we're going to use something called the Query Wizard. So under the Create tab, Queries group, we're clicking Query Wizard. And what we want to do is create a simple query wizard. So hit OK. And it's saying, okay, what fields do you want to look up? So think of it this way. We have these complete tables. Now we just want to pull pieces of information. And for example, our college does queries all the time. For example, when you signed up for this class at the beginning of the semester, the registrar handed me a physical copy of a query of who was in my class. So what information do I want? Well, I'm going to start with first name and throw that to the right. Last name, if I were looking for veterinarians, but I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to come up here and go to the owners table. And in this case, I no longer want these items, so let me throw them back. I want the owner first name, owner last name, owner street address, city, state, and postal code. So what I'm doing is clicking that single arrow in between. Let's click next. It says, okay, I'm going to call this your owner's query. And let's go ahead and leave that be and hit finish. And as you can see, we still only have 2 owners, but we're not getting all of their information, just really their mailing address. Look down here, over here on the left, and what we're seeing is a list. And you can see there's now 5 tables on the left, queries and our owner's query. And it's already got a name. It's called owner's query. So now if I wanted to create mailing labels or something like that, I've kind of got like a subgroup of my big table. And for example, when you signed up at CVCC, you probably had to tell them tons of information, where you went to high school, your transcripts, all that type of thing. But the query that they gave me at the beginning of the semester when you signed up for my class is just your first name, last name, your email address, and probably your phone number. That's all the information I got. I wasn't even told your gender, your home address, nothing like that. So it's just a kind of a smaller group of the data that I need. Let's go ahead and stop there and we'll pick up soon.